Like the man says, 3, 2, 1, you're on. You didn't say that bit.
No, I do don't. You
But
don't say
I
anything after one, right?
no, I've kind of made the assumption that I probably am on. Am I on, folks? Of course I am. Sometimes I talk just for the sake of talking. Right. My name is Mark Burns, and I'm the host of this show. To my left, I have my wonderful co-host, Tosha Tyran. Welcome, Tosha.
Oh, welcome. I'm too early.
Oh, we've changed it around a bit.
you,
We've
That's
changed
right.
it.
Mix it up.
I've changed
you
it
got it
around a
all
bit.
mixed up, and you
Yeah,
got me all mixed up. Hi,
yeah,
Mel. I'm glad to be here. It's nice.
very good. And yes, on my right-hand side, I got the right-hand man, he of the sitting and the non-fiddling. His name is James Atlloud. Welcome, James.
Hi, Mel. Here we are again. No show
Here
next
we are
week
again.
though. Right.
Yes, we won't be here next week, but the reason for that is something we will be discussing this week.
Yay.
We've got quite a few. Well, we'll get to a reasonable show this week, and well, one piece or another, shall we say? Yes, we've got, of course, the Hypergrid International Expo coming up next weekend, so we will be occupied with that, and we'll be telling you a bit more about that to start with today. Then we are going to have a quick look at Bing Draconia's shopping sim, just so we have got a new sim to look at. Well, it's not new, but it's new to us, if you see what I mean. And I was there today, and I'll be going back. I'd never been there before for some reason. And yes, and then we had a wonderful concert. Hard to explain actually, but until we actually get to it. But it was here on Craft Grid not last night, on Friday night, and some lovely visuals. A nice poem that we didn't hear, but we read. And yes, particles in the sky. And my monitor's got its own particle ideas at the moment. I think it's flickering at me. Don't know why. Yeah, so we'll be looking at that too. We won't play it all, but we'll give you a YouTube link where you can go and watch the whole spectacular thing. Right, so my eyesight's bad enough without my monitor deciding it's a stroboscope, which I don't know why it's doing that. It does that occasionally, and then it says, "Oh, well, I've settled down now." Misbehaving monitor, I don't know. Okay. So we've done the introductions, and yeah, to get right into this, both James and Tosha and I are involved in the team that puts together HIE, and also, of course, there's a member without whom, and a more recent addition, Kelso, who's been doing some scripting and stuff. But we're just going to give you a sort of vague idea of what's going to be happening. Now, we've had some other shows in the past, and including safari visits, where we've taken the camera in and we've had a look around or everything. So there's no real point in repeating all that now, because you can actually go and see it for yourselves. And we don't want to spoil it by showing you too much pictures, but we can give you an idea of what's actually going on. And what have I got behind me? Well, there's the poster we've been showing for several weeks now, of course. And April 4th to the 6th, indeed. I'm very glad it's not April the 1st to the 2nd, I could tell you. The good thing is, given it's in Europe, we have a bad habit of using US Pacific time because it's of a legacy from Second Life and things. And for the past 3 weeks, we don't know whether we're coming or going because America sort of prematurely, in my opinion, went into summertime and the rest of the world didn't. But now, thanks to midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning last night, we are now in European summertime, British summertime too. So we're all in sync again.
Save that daylight. Save all that daylight.
Uh,
Even
I've,
though the
I've, I've already have all my pockets full of daylights saved.
yeah.
What do I do with it then?
What do I do with my daylight savings? I don't know.
That's
So
right.
can cash them in for fair share tokens or something?
For
Yeah,
next,
yeah.
I'll keep them for next winter.
Yes. Yeah, keep
That
the
makes
summertime.
sense, doesn't it?
Keep the summertime bits for reload them in winter when we need them. Very good idea. Okay, well, so we're all synced, and America is just as usual, sort of between 5 and 8 hours behind the times anyway. as we say. Oh, one wicked, aren't I? Okay, so there's our signage, and let's move to a couple of the other bits of signage. Right, posters. Right, the first one, presenters poster. Now, it's in multiple languages, and there's 4 half days, as it were, in German, Spanish, Italian, and French. But each of those half days has a moderator in, and they conduct the whole thing in their particular language. And at the beginning of the show, M. Jennings will be introducing in English, actually the only bit that is in English, the moderators. And I think M is involved in the English channel translations, but there's nothing in English on the main stage, so to speak. And then we have the rest of the folks there. Right, I don't have my broadcast screen up for the actual event itself. So Richie is the
He's a
many.
German.
Richie is German or French? No,
No,
Minor
he's
is.
German.
Yeah, Richie is the
British
German.
German.
Minor is along with Lady Carr. In fact, it's not on the poster there. They are the moderators for the French session. Lorenza is for the Italian session, the Italian day, and Anna Marie is for the Spanish. Have I got that right? I hope I have.
So it is.
So there'll be about, so 20 minutes, half an hour at the beginning where they sort of introduce themselves and what they'll be moderating, in their language at the appropriate time. So let's see if I can get this in the right order. It starts with the German session, which will be this one. As you can see, Rich is listed there because he is the moderator. And Old Pal of Ours, Loru Destiny. I didn't know what that means actually. Open sim and
Open sim where dreams can be true or become true.
All right, lovely. Okay, and then we have a performance here from Pink Draconia, which incidentally we're going to be looking at her region in shopping region in a few minutes anyway. I can't read that.
Ja.
Vom Tanzsaal.
Talk is vom Tanzsaal auf die Bühne. From a dancing palace to the what do you call it? Bühne? Scene, to the scene. Yeah. How simple dancing pads were integrated or become a show.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, gonna get it. It's actually quite a performance thing, that one. But the middle session in each half day, so to speak, is to be a performance thing. And finally, a neocortex talking about story sequencing and NPCs. So even I can read that.
Story sequencer, a tool to direct NPCs, not only NPCs.
Yeah. Which should be super interesting. Okay. Moving on to the first day. We have French session, right? So this will be the sort of second session on the Saturday. Here you can see Lady Carr joins Inworld Loop. They're actually they become co-moderators for this. Nadir Ray. I should translate again. Doesn't say much.
I think it's the summer is a fool or something like that.
Oh, okay. Oh, she's probably just predicting April Fool or something. Yeah, I already have a preview of what will happen in the halftime spot, as it were. Here, Cherry Manga, who is always her shows, if that's the word, are always a real highlight. And Morlitum is some musical partner in terms of creating what they're doing there. There's something called Dual Wave, and there's not much one can say about it. Even once we've seen it, it will be very hard to describe Moses. In retrospect, it's sort of
I think it's not necessary to describe it really. You have to come to see it.
Yeah. I was just thinking
It
You know,
it's really, I can only say I've seen it, and it's really, really wonderful. It's really out of this
spectacular.
world. It's a typical Sherry manga, but
Yeah,
also with a very big touch of Morley, and
yeah.
just really astonishing and amazing.
No.
Did you
I
see it,
possibly a
James, when she
candidate.
was the last testing?
Oh yes, yes, I
Yep.
saw it. I mean,
Yep.
yeah, absolutely.
And
Yeah,
you
Jason,
agree with me,
yeah,
I
because
take it.
I mean, the precision of it is something to be
Mm,
seen. Yeah, James saw it too, because for camera work, it has to be very precise. So yeah.
mm.
And actually, talking it's still in the performance mode, really. We're talking about theatre in open soon with Tristan E something D whatever.
Just let
Um,
me hear.
after the Frenchman.
Mm,
Yeah. Okay, now I can't remember what order we're in on the second day. I think we start with Spanish, don't we, or is it Italian?
Now we start with the Italian.
We do. Okay, I knew I'd be wrong. Right. Now, unfortunately, this is out of date, so there's some slight changes to that, but Lorenza is moderating. The main features here is the first one. We've got Luciana Mattei talking
Mm.
about an academy and whatever.
Yeah, she's talking about the school beyond the real and the immaterial,
Right.
something like that.
Yeah, something like that. The Ubuntu performance is not happening, I'm afraid. So we'll be moving on to Evercry and Salazar joining her as well. Um, over to you, Tasha.
Oh yeah,
The, on the virtual world.
they make um, artificial intelligence in the virtual world, a practical guide for everybody. Um,
Which is,
from the imagination to the test,
oh,
something
right.
like that.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, sure, good. Very great.
And
Well, good.
I've read it, I've translated it and read it, and it sounds very, very interesting what those two are doing, Eva and Salazar.
Right. So yes, kind of.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to everything, really. It's hard to pick and
Yeah,
choose it.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's true.
And so the final session of the four will be the Spanish one, which starts at, by the way, they do use the SLT reference you see on these posters is Second Lifetime, which is actually American Pacific, which is a sort of norm in virtual worlds, but it's actually 9 in the evening CET and 8 in the evening here in the UK, in fact. And the other ones are at 9 um, as well. So, yeah, Anna Marie, nice lady. I hadn't come across her before. I was speaking to her at the rehearsal. She is the moderator here. Zirana Oxy Moxie, very familiar with her.
Tirana
Vive, vive
Ochimochi.
the art. Art enters reality or something. What's
Living the art between two realities.
right? So I was close. I was close. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
the mid session performance here. What's all that about? Who on earth is that person? Uh, Tosha?
Are you talking about me?
Of course I
Yep.
am.
Yep.
Well, I'm taking the audience to a trip through the creational mythology of the Hopi, um, the Hopi Native Americans, and it's called the Four Worlds of the Hopi Pueblo, and the Spanish is that was it a leyenda? What do you call it? Just a story or reality?
Oh, right.
Which
A
means
question
it
of
goes
fiction.
from the first, the beginning of the creation to the Spanish Wars. That
Right.
the wars that the Spanish did on the Hopis. You know, they came there as conquistadores,
Yeah.
and a little later also as colonia. What do you call it? Colonizadores.
Colonialism.
Colonists.
Yeah.
Yes, colonists. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, quite a story there indeed, actually. So look forward to that.
It's
And
very cool. Yep.
of course, I have had a sneak preview of all four worlds. Rapid trip through four different worlds. Very interesting.
Yeah, what I think so interesting about it is that normally all the creation stories, at least or creation mythologies that I've ever heard of, came always from heaven down to earth. You know, and the Hopi do that quite differently. They
The other
start
way around.
very deep in the ground and then they move through four different worlds all the time, more up towards the sky. And
Yeah.
now they are in the fourth world, where we all living in the fourth world, according to the Hopi, and this world is going to end soon. So say the Hopi.
I noticed you paraphrased that with "so say the Hopi." There are many people who would probably agree with that, but we won't go there. It's too
Mm,
depressing. Okay, and you're followed by Gio Perez. I can't even pronounce that.
yes, you do.
Something else. So the Mundo is the world, of course. So
What that is, the mundo is out of this world.
out of this world, right? Oh, and of course, actually, his yeah, he has a persona which is known as out of this world, and they're in our backstage conversations. I think, who's this out of the world guy? A bit confusing when the person in the messaging system has a different name from the avatar, but that's life, isn't it? So yeah, French did presenters, didn't I? Yeah, so actually that's them. That's really it for the sort of roundup I had there. Now we do. I don't have the posters for this actually, but I do have the website, or at least the blog for hieopensim.blogspot.com open, so you can read a little bit about that. There is a proper HIE site too, I think, but basically the this is like the Thursday Safari blog. She's actually been previewing things, for some time. This one's, March 19th, saying something for everybody. Um, and she's making a point that actually there's a huge parkland around it with an exhibition in it, as well as the actual stage. So I'm going to do a quickie. Not that many pictures for this one, actually. But there are well over 100 of these little booths. They're all sort of the same shape, but everybody's been able to, modify those to make it be quite unique. And some of them done a really good job in disguising the fact it's just a three-sided booth.
And I really think there's something to see. They're really spectacular. All these booths, these different ones, and also on this long path that goes all around the auditorium, there
Yeah,
are some beautiful artworks of Tina Bay.
yeah. Who, of course, we saw last
So
week. Quite a bit
yeah,
of TNA, didn't
yeah.
we?
Yeah,
Yes.
so
So,
you can have both. You can or all three things. You can look around. You can see what happens on other grids, on other sims, and all that. Plus, you can pick up freebies. Plus, you can see these wonderful works of art of Tina. So that is really a big present, so to speak.
and I mean, even in the whole 2 days of the thing, I think you'd be hard pushed to get around all the booths. So they will be open for a long time after,
Yes,
for fair
yes,
old
I
time
hope so. Hmm.
to get in there. I like the lighting on that one actually. Coincidentally, Westeros, of course, that seems to be a booth that's connected with Game of Thrones. So it's there's the breadth of creativity in OpenSim and on the Hypergrid is vast. I mean, you get things like on the Westeros, and there is clearly a kind of gaming kind of community world. Based on Game of Thrones, and the one we had before that was actually an educational one booth. So just those two give variety. And then we got a final pick there from Thursday, which is just a booth hanging out somewhere, which is got a bit of action going on around it. Let us go. Let's go back. I think I have to do that. Oh, that's not right. That's not right. There we are. Come back here. So yeah, something for everybody there. Okay. Tech talks as well. Let me see. Speeches given in a variety of languages, etc., etc. And she points out that one of the speakers will be Neil Cortex, who in real life is a software guy. Yeah, we love that movie. Are you a software guy? What else do you need to say? Neo's been around in OpenSim since its earliest days, running a small grid of his own and experimenting with scripting. And this talk will be about a tool he's developed for Nara's Nuke's writing group, led by Nara Malone. Who else? Neo's innovation and adaptations of other tools make it easier for them to use the 3D platform to tell their stories, engage their readers as part of the problem with scrolling. Sorry, my mouse has a mind of its own these days. Engage readers as part of the plot line, basically. So what came next? Right, earlier on. Ooh, don't know. Oh, yeah, examples of NPCs and stuff like that will be involved in that one too. The next one, like right, this post is a poem in German, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. There's a nice picture, by the way, taken from the air of the whole region. This is the auditorium itself. It's quite big, but it looks quite small there. It's revised from previous years. It's not quite as many seats, but it still holds a lot of people. And then instead of that being in one corner of four, joint sims, this is now a very big VAR file. It's the equivalent of 4 regions with the auditorium in the middle. So the walk around the park is scattered around the edges here. What you can't see on this picture is roughly 4 quarters have different coloured trees, and the colours of the trees represent the colours of the country or the languages that are being spoken. And the surround here, it's one of those wonderful sim surrounds, pretty much the same as I originally put on the 4x4, but you can actually walk up. Obviously you can't walk over and into the ocean beyond, but you can actually walk up the.
Oh yeah, that's because there's a work she did it, the mountains around she did by terraforming. They're not sims around.
Right.
Originally made by terraforming, and she did a great job. And that's why you can walk up onto the mountains.
Right. Okay.
Now,
Also, quite
fall up,
recent.
if you fall down on the other side, you're lost.
Lost, exactly. You're off sim, and well, only things that are off sim
Never seen again.
and never can be there if they've got an anchor on the real sim. Yeah. I will point out, just because of the picture here, this little river here is a nice new touch in the walk around, so to speak. And you notice the way the paths wiggle and change and things. They were much more organized when I did them, which made them a bit boring, to be honest. So now, you can move around and you can sort of get a bit lost. And that's half the fun of it, I think. And the only other thing to mention is you can see it here, where you can see 2 things here. That little area up there with the path moving in is the arrival spot. So when you TP in or land in the region, that's where you land. And you can either walk, through some of the booths to the auditorium, or you actually have TPs there that will take you to the various places you might want to go. And if you're there on Friday this week, the evening before for the opening, or even the after party, then this area is actually the sort of party stage. It's hard to describe, but whoever's performing is highlighted in text on that rotating wheel. under the underside, that is, and then there's this other one in the sky, which is a tribute to our original design. And yeah, we've got Zori. Oh, I can never remember her second name. She's
Jupiter.
yeah, Zori Jupiter, of course. Yeah, we've had her on this show. So a friend of ours, and she actually opens on Friday evening there. Um, Anybody got any information on the person in the middle, Nitin or something? Did
Kirna
somebody...
Metza.
Right. Anybody know anything about him, her?
And then
I don't.
Forest Azure will also do some music, party music. I don't know if I think she's to close up the
Oh, the
show.
closing. Yeah, the closing.
I
The
think it's
third is
Forest.
that's Wolan Wobbit is ending it.
Hmm?
He's the,
Wallum's on the Friday. He's one of the three musical
yeah,
acts. The
yeah, that's
closing
what I
of the
mean. That's what I'm
conference on
talking.
Sunday is another
Oh, yeah,
event
that's
that
different.
Tasha's
Yeah.
talking about.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Right.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Well, it's Sorry, then the other chap, and then Wolan Wobbit on the Friday there. And yeah, closing the conference too will be performance in the same place. So you sort of, if you're really hanging in for the long run, you can turn up on Friday night. You can go to all the events there. Then you can stay up all night and investigate the forest. Oh, oops. And then in the morning you can roll up in the auditorium to see the first two sessions. Then you can have an actual nap, and then the next day repeat and repeat, and then finish up there again. It's like a little map out, isn't it? So well, anyway.
Almost reminds me of those open air concerts when I was young. You go there, you start listening, you dancing with your eyes closed. You have
Yeah,
breakfast while dancing still, and then the next day starts with more dancing,
yeah.
like that, 3 days in a row.
The same here. The long, well, for a couple of years, I would always be at the long festival.
But the good thing
Yeah,
here is that everybody sits in front of his own computer, and if he falls asleep, nobody notices.
nobody knows. Yes, it's the ideal festival, isn't
That's
it?
right.
Yeah.
You're anonymous. Yeah.
And your little
Um,
avatar keeps on dancing, and
Dance
you
the
with
night
your
away.
nose on
Right.
the keyboard sleeping.
as you can see, I'm just really trying to scroll down this. I'm trying to do it with it. Maybe I can do it with the arrow keys. Sort of, can't I? Oh yeah, well, a lot of this is reflecting on the previous year anyway. There was one other blog there, post 200 days to go. That was a little bit of a while ago now. Oh yes, yes. This was actually a surprise one this year. This is about this is a film that you can find on YouTube and play it from the site here on the booze for the expo part. But what is interesting is that there's another language here because there's a Japanese version. Obviously, this is just a tutorial, but in the park, so to speak, there's a Japanese one. So we're actually, just as people can turn up in English, there's nothing English here. There is an English group, so you get the translations. I don't think we have a Japanese group, but the fact that they're part of the park and everything means that the reach is going well beyond the original 4 or 5 languages. So which are are the focus. Really, it's the cultures are the real focus, I think, in Open Sim, rather than the territory or the actual language. It's always the people and the cultures they represent. So Japanese are in there too. Okay, well, I think we've got enough there. Just very quickly, Safari is not on, but it will later in April. Of course, it will be restarting. The Elements of Azure is just a post as I got around to about last Monday. Where she finds the time, I have no idea to do this too. But it's a little feature about our Forest Azure, who's a friend of ours from Safari. and she had a build on the Open Sim World's Fair, and it's funny, it's not having any of this time. Oh, that one is okay. So yeah, there are just a couple of shots of Forrest's actual build. In fact, Forrest was. Do you remember? I think Forrest actually performed
Oh yeah.
in the,
Mm-hmm.
didn't she, last year at
Mm-hmm.
HIE? So the ubiquitous connection there.
In the big
Right.
cubicle dance hall in the sky.
That was right. That was something else, wasn't
Yep.
it? A
Yep.
Scrabble. Isn't it a stage made
That's
out of
right.
the Scrabble
Right.
pieces?
Crossword.
Yeah. Not the most intelligible, but it looked interesting.
It was very open sim. I loved it.
Yeah, you could sort of see through the floor too. So it's like fall through the Scrabble board.
Yeah.
You couldn't fall because it was like imitation glass, but
Don't suffer from vertigo.
right, exactly. I do, so I didn't like it, of
Yeah.
course. But walked right into that one, you did, didn't you?
From your avatar's eyes to your real eyes, it can still have an
Indeed,
effect. Yeah.
indeed. Yeah. Okay, well, moving away from HI for a little bit, we did know you did notice that Bink, Bink Dragonia was doing a session. I've long, what was it, which one? I can't remember which one it was here now. Typically, it's going to be the last one I click, isn't it?
It's Saturday at 10 SLT.
Right. Oh, there he is. She is rather. I keep getting my knuckles wrapped over this. I always think, something about the word bink. I think it's a male avatar, and of course it's not. It's a female. I should know that by now. I've chatted to her and everything. It's just one of those things. Anyway, there she is, and she's the performance highlight midway through the very first session. In fact, the German session after the intros and Lauru. It's her turn. So it's her turn too now because I'm about to run a film that I recorded a little while ago. And it's okay, in about 8 minutes. Starting off with a wall, I thought that was a nice trick. Well, where you land. This is one of her regions, and I think we've got a lower third here for
I
to
have a
go on
link to the
screen.
listing on Open Sim World.
Oh
So
yeah, fine.
that's
Yeah.
a
So
shorter
it's
URL, and that describes it.
oh yeah,
This is
yeah.
Needful
So
Things.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay. Thank you.
And it's basically there's about 4 different shopping streets here, all made up like real shops, but they've got obviously the window dressing is different and the themes of the shops are different, and there's probably stuff that isn't here, but it seems to me that the shops are covering just about everything. Some of them are sort of just say landscape, and they're shops full of landscaping, you know, things that you might need. Others are animations, others costuming, and a few weird things too. Textures, of course, as you can see. Yeah, and that's their office. Needful things, that's what they're called, and that's the office. And yeah, as you see, the teleport Earl is on screen if you need that. Yeah, so I actually picked up a few things while I was here, and I sort of did this round in a video, and I thought, oh, I better come back and go in there when I've stopped the film. And half an hour later, I was out of there. This, I don't know what we had.
This is
McDonald's
on
for it. So,
Pangea, isn't it?
yes, it is
Yep.
something. Yeah, yeah. Yes, it's sort of. It's funny. I tend to remember the names of the region, like meaningful things here, and sort of forget which grid they're on. Although when I'm searching, I often think, oh, that's just another landmark on, wolf territories. I think, oh, I don't need to go there. I've seen wolf territories and stuff. So sometimes you think, you forget that some of the grids themselves are getting big and individual regions, that rent space on places like wolf territories or Pangea. They're not related to the grid. They're their own thing, as it should be. So a bit of art there. I was telling the guys here, actually, it's probably going to come up in the film somewhere here. I was telling the guys before we came on air that there's one shop here which mimics a certain shop called IKEA. You may have heard of IKEA. And Bink's version is called Me Kia, which is sort of the same thing, but not, if you see what I mean. I quite like that. I quite
I
like
just
that.
hope there are Swedish meatballs.
Oh, good. Vegetarian here. No meat, no meat for us.
And lingonberries. Please bring me some lingonberries.
A lingonberry, what on earth is a... So it's not a lindenberry.
I'm sure.
All right. I'll take your word for it. Ruth and Roth shops or something. Ooh. Oh, yes. It's camera around too fast and you fall through the railings and into the water. But we got back pretty quickly. Oh yeah, I mean, it's been a while since we did a shopping show. In fact, we'll probably get Leo Lobo back with another instalment before long. But you know, normally I chase landscapes and all sorts of, you know, fascinating builds and regions. But you know, we all need to go shopping sometimes. You know, get some fresh underwear. Well, we don't need to in Second Life, but I mean, in Open Sim, we probably do in Second Life. But yeah, we all need to shop from time to time, go looking for what we want. And there are a lot of ways you can do it. You could go to Kitely's marketplace, or you could look up in Open Sim World, possibly. But no, I'm thinking of I've forgotten the name of the other one I use all the while. My mind is going. James knows it.
Was that a call for me?
Okay, James is muted. The other vital website for looking up things.
Oh, Hypercat. Hypercat?
Hypercat. That's it, yeah. So my mind had gone to blank there, you know. Hate going blank when I'm on air. But it happens. It happens all too often these days.
I put the lower third up for Hypercat. There you go.
Oh, right, lovely, yeah. Yeah, so it's you know, the one thing I mean, if you go to an old place like Second Life, you know, it's huge for shopping and, you know, escapism and stuff. But I mean, it's cluttered. I did well. I went with James into Second Life on Friday to give a little talk about HIA, which went very well, I hasten to add. But I've got a lovely little mesh cat in Second Life, and I really channel my feline self with it. But I thought, well, if I'm going to stand up in front of an audience or sit, as the case may be, and talk about things, I better actually get a humanoid avatar. And I looked at my inventory. I couldn't even understand half the ones I had. So I sort of rushed around and sort of went to the Linden shop on the web, thinking I could find something that resembled my other avatar, which I use in every virtual world except Second Life. I couldn't find it for love of money. I mean, there's probably enough components there to recreate it, but it would probably take me a couple of years of going through that listings to find the things. Certainly I couldn't find anything with the same name, which would suggest that the person that made it in OpenSim did not upload, you know, copies to Second Life. It's normally the other way. You can find things in Second Life and not in OpenSim. And in fact, if something is copybotted, you can at least be sure you'll find it in both places. But no such luck. So I ended up, didn't I, James? I came on stage with a sort of grizzly grey, dark beard, and a hat that was the wrong shape, and sunglasses that didn't look like me.
Yep. But it was fine. You sounded like you.
It sounded like me, yeah. That was the main thing. Standing there and sort of hoping nobody read the Second Life mirror in front of me. They have mirrors over there now, apparently. Well, we have them here too, but who needs a bloody mirror? Enough of them in the house already. One of the fun things about looking at your avatar is you don't have to look in the mirror in the real world. Oh, this is, you couldn't take this, unfortunately, although there were a couple of giveaways at the side there. But this is the whole stage, and I press the Start Now button, and the lights come on, and I guess NPCs are about to res, and it ought to see all this. All I did was press the button that said, start now, which is off the bottom of the screen, and lo and behold, the whole thing started for me. And the boxes at the side there actually contain a gimmicky HUD. It says audience response HUD, it's called, and I thought it would maybe enable me to do things with the audience here and stuff. But actually, what it does, it's like a dance HUD. You strap it on and then you press the arrow keys, and it runs through various animations of you being a jerk in the audience. Oh yeah, like it's got like Elon Musk kind of poses, yeah, whoa. No Nazi salutes, fortunately, but it could be useful if I'm visiting a concert somewhere else at some point. I can strap it on and do a little bit more than say yay, applause.
I can't help think that's ABBA on that stage there.
It could be.
It's
be
Bernie
anything.
Bjork. Yeah, I think it's ABBA.
There's a little bloke. He said.
Yeah, a little dancer.
My option key thing, I can zoom in, but I love it when I've got this on screen. Yeah, there's a little tiny thing does. It could well be, couldn't it? It's yeah, the lineup would be about right. The two guys on guitar and keys, and the women on microphones. Put it politely. Yes, could be. A nice sort of Pangea flag in the background. So I really wanted to take a copy of that because I thought it was great. You could modify it, stuff, but maybe I can get it off him at some point. Anyway, that's Pink Dragonia, and you find that on the Pangea grid, and I forget the name already. It's on screen anyway.
Needful Things.
Needful Things, yes. Yeah. So if you're needy, if you're feeling needy, hop over to Pangea and look up Needful Things. There'll be something there for you, including the shops I didn't cover for various reasons. Right. Okay. Moving on. We've done HIE, I guess, and we've done this little thing. What we have next is I'm not willing to play these for you because I don't know what the copyright situation is, and we're not sure. And I've been talking to Tosha too, and we're not quite sure what music went with these. But basically, here on Craft Grid on Friday nights, over at the MDM Museo. What's MDM? Well, anyway.
Museo del Metaverso.
Yes, exactly. Metaverse Museum, whatever. Cantum Horarum concert took place. Now, here we are. I shall pause it there. This is the poster for it, basically. Horror. Lorenza Colli, who is also at HIE on our panel, along with Velasquez Bonito. Oh, that's in the ice cream. Give me Bonito. I don't know. Velasquez, if that's how to pronounce it, was part of HIE last year. Yeah. And they did this concert, and so actually you can probably say more about this initially than I can, Tosha. I mean, Lorenza wrote the poem, didn't she, initially?
Yes. Lorenza wrote the poem, and it is like counting the account of one whole day. She counts like 14 hours of one day of her life. Especially like as being a woman.
Right.
And it's very thoughtful and very poetic and very beautiful.
And the idea was, oh, sorry. Yeah.
No. Go ahead.
Well, I say the idea was, I mean, the visuals and these, you'll see later on up on the roof there. They're multi-layered, so there's some quite interesting stuff happening up there. Basically, the idea is the story had accompanying visuals, which were created using AI by Velasquez. Now, I'm wondering if it's the particles sort of show side of it that is the bit he created with AI. But I was told there was music made with AI, and
yes,
we think we've got two different soundtracks here, and neither of them seem to have the poem in it. So,
No. The thing is that Lorenza did not read the poem. She gave the text of the poem in Italian and in
English.
English. She did not actually read it. She just is being danced and you know put it into music by Velasquez.
So let's have a little teaser. I can't play much of it because who knows YouTube, but oh, hang on. Oh yeah, there it is. So this is supposed to. Oh God, sorry, folks. Bad news.
Well, and Velasquez, while you're searching, talking, Velasquez made this music especially, created it in um, artificial intelligence. The music he created it especially for this poem.
There we are.
No, I don't think that's it. Well, apart from that, it's awfully to hear. I
Yeah.
don't think that's it because at least I heard the channel, the music channel of the sim, which means it was just a radio, pop radio
Right.
kind of stuff. But
Yes, I heard that too. And in fact,
yeah,
the film we're showing here, I think James may have put the Z up. There's a YouTube address for this because this is the film. It's over an hour, well, actually, it's 54 minutes of the performance that was actually filmed by the organizers and posted on YouTube.
yes,
This
and that contains. I listened to it the other day, and that contains really the music
The intended music.
created by Velasquez.
right. Okay.
And the video you're
Then
sharing, Mel, that's the YouTube video.
this is the YouTube one I'm
Okay.
showing at the moment.
Okay. I
Yeah.
put up the.
So whatever. Obviously, you were hearing the music come through my microphone. I haven't loaded it into our sound system or anything, but and nor should I really. It's just a teaser. But whatever is actually playing here is the soundtrack that they themselves put up. So.
Mm. Well,
But
so you
I loved it
don't
actually.
hear
I mean,
anything.
it sounded like a radio set to me on both films, the one I took and this official one. But I did love the music. It's just I didn't really feel I couldn't feel the influence of AI and B the connection, even the tenuous connection with the poem. But I thoroughly enjoyed the concert as it or the dancers and this wonderful light show up top. Um, I'm now switching to the film I took of the event, and I'm pretty sure I need to mute that because I think I may have had the wrong stream, in which case it might be copyright. But because I filmed this, I can flash forward a little bit and show you the things I thought were most interesting. We were all sort of sat in the audience, which is, of course, where one tends to sit at these things. Why am I trying to zoom around with my keys? Fast forward is what I meant to do. I keep forgetting I'm not the camera at the moment. Moving on, so yeah, the backdrop here changed from horror to horror 1 to 2 at various points in the thing, and you can see these sort of particles and strange things happening at the top, at the roof. The dancers, there's one very psychedelic one, and then there's sort of black and white on either side. The ideas there I thought were great. So if we zoom in, you can see people here that were hanging out in the audience. A couple of special customers, but this was earlier on, so the Chinese or whatever they're called hadn't arrived yet, but we'll get to that later. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Now, okay, I'll let the film run here. Basically, I started coming in around the sides here, and we had these strange, visuals up top and coming down from the roof. Some of them came down quite low, but basically you had to look up to see them. If you looked straight ahead, you just saw the stage. Pardon me, croaking a bit here. This actually is, oddly enough, this is before the official performance began. I can tell because Lorenzo, I think it's Lorenzo, is standing there still talking. Yeah, she was talking. Okay, there's some interesting things lying around. There we are. Now, at this point, I zoomed in to the ceiling to sort of catch a little bit of this. It's almost like there's lots of different layers of colorful graphics interacting with one another. Some are a bit like particles lower down. Others are like sort of transparent psychedelic splashes on brims, I think. And you can see the way my camera is moving. It's definitely a 3D experience. But actually very hard to capture on camera, to be honest, because it changes all the while, including the whirly things at the side. Oh yeah, we're still at the beginning because she's talking there. Okay, I'm going to move through a little bit here. Get the idea here anyway. There we are. It's me and. Okay, right. I think yes, she's gone from the stage. So actually,
there goes. You can see
The sign says Auto
Ora
1.
Prima.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is after the thing starts, and all this strange particles floating around.
I can, if you want to, I can read to you the part of the poem of the first day. Just a short
Yes,
little thing.
yeah, why
Okay?
not? Yeah, that'd be lovely.
Ora
English.
Prima. To be amazed at dawn, waiting for the sun, to marvel as you embrace the time that welcomes you. One more day for sorrow and joy, for boredom and hope, for kindness and outrage, for instincts and reason, for peace and turmoil, for folly and wisdom, to accept it all. And so it goes on. It is very poetic, very yeah, very beautiful. I really enjoyed that, reading that along with the music playing. So I did not see too much about of the light show and the dances, but
But
I
now,
was
now you
reading.
do, and of course nobody's heard the poems, so now you're reading it. It's lovely. You can read some more of it, more of it.
Oh, okay. I
I
read
mean,
this.
I've still got 45 minutes of footage here, which we're not going to show it all, but I can keep showing it while you read the poems.
No,
So,
all not because that would be too long time. But I read the second day, okay, or the second hour, hora secunda. To be amazed in the morning, greeting the sun, to marvel as you embrace the time that surrounds you. One more day to be fully present, to resolve into tears, to ignite with a smile, to gaze into the mirror, to retreat into yourself, to glimpse uncertain tomorrows, to sense their fleeting end and shudder. I really like it very much. I read it afterwards again when I saw the actual movie on YouTube, and I really liked it very much. It 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 tells you a lot
eh,
about the person that is Lorenza, about her daily tasks and her daily thoughts and her daily fights and her doubts and all that. And I really,
it's quite short, though, isn't it? So it really gets quite a lot of feeling into the
yeah.
limited number of words. So it's just achievement in itself. Color is extraordinary.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's very, very personal, really.
There's some nice bits to this, but I can't remember where they are. So there she is again. Ah, there's a certain somebody. Ah, these are the audience shots. So there's Tosha, and there's me. Front row seats, of course. And panning around here. Hi there, folks. If you were in the audience, you're on film. You can now blog this show and say, I was there, or something. That face looks very familiar. I don't know. I mean, like modeled on. I love her costume. She, of course, is a moderator at the issue. Yeah.
Gianna.
Yeah, Gianna. That reminds me of one of my early avatars, actually. That guy off on the right there. There we are. Could have been me.
That's Liku.
Top hats as well. They're like our top hats. Yes, Liku, of course, runs Craftgrid.
Liku always without shoes.
She has donated the studio space for us, of course, as well. So, yeah. And yes, there's a little. Well, we've seen all the people in the front rows, of course. Oops. Don't know whether that's a grey naked or whatever, but something. Now, with this cute couple, they're at the back. They arrived a bit late, actually. Late coming. And oddly enough, there is some sound on this little bit, which is unexpected.
Hush, I serve you a mouse later, okay?
Yeah, okay.
Aren't they cute? What's the name of these, James, again? They're not tinies. They're
Dinkies.
the ones called...
They're called Dinkies. Yep.
Yes.
Designed by one artist, and they've traveled all over the Hypergrid.
Yeah. I believe they're even in Second Life, too.
They started in Second Life, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I wasn't putting it quite like that, but many of them do. Tinies certainly were a very big Second Life thing. They're not so prevalent in OpenSim, but
depends where you go.
So, yeah. Those Dinkies got a place they go?
Oh, sure. In fact, the last guest we had talked about her next work was going to be opening an area for Dinkies, right?
Yes. Yeah, she is. That's yeah. No, it's just one.
Lavia said
Lavia.
She was good.
Yeah, Lavia. Yeah.
Lavia.
Lavia. Yeah, Maria. Lavia. Oh God, always get it wrong.
Yeah.
And AMV, Alternate Metaverse Grid, has a big area for Dinkies. A lot of places do.
Look at them. I think we can afford to dwell on them quite a lot here.
It's
the end of the show, the darker one trotted off, and then they.
As Lavia told us when she was here with us last week, that according to her, there is a whole parallel world practically of Dinkies that have their own, their own regions, their own shops, their own houses and places to play and all kinds of things.
Right.
It's really quite big. I never realized that there was so many of them around.
I love the way they look at each other when certain when poses have them looking in each other's faces and things. It's very cute, so cute. Look at that, isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, very cute. But they're not all cats, the Dinkies, are they?
No. I have a bunny in Second Life. That's wonderful.
One of these days, I'll have to meet your bunny with my cat. Next time I log into Second Life, I'll have to return to my feline self.
Yep.
My camera definitely caught these two. dwelled on them. I guess we could move forward a bit. I'm quite keen to see if we've got any good captures of some of the other effects. Oh, God, I don't know why. Here I'm moving up to the air again, seeing a bit of the stuff from beyond. I think it was near at the beginning. I may have passed it, but there's one view, this view where you're looking at the stage, but you're actually looking at the ceiling, and you can see through to what seems to be like another exhibit behind, and it was very confusing. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, more layers, and I started zooming into them, and then eventually I realized that I was on a bit that may have been intentional or may not have been. Well, what is the numbers of Horror 5, Horror 4? Are they the verses from the poem? Or is, you know how here it's changed?
She did not really explain that. At least I did not understand it, because the spoken Italian I cannot understand very well.
Right.
But the way I understood it was that it is practically one whole day, the
Right.
being awake. The first hour, the second hour, the third hour, like that. She goes through her whole day.
And did it
She
go up
goes
to hour 13? Was that the last hour?
Oh, so that could be, yeah,
14 is the last
14,
one.
yeah.
Right, that could have been the hours, an hour 5 or something.
And I was thinking later you have 8 hours of sleep and 2 hours of what doing what?
Aha, the mystery, yes.
Yeah.
The 2
Exactly.
hours that are not
Two
featured.
mystery hours.
Yes, mystery hours. Yeah, sounds like a TV show.
Because
No, when
she
I see theatre
really,
thing, I wondered if it stood for Act 1, Act 2 or something.
as this goes through the poem, she really describes the whole day. She describes the early morning, the getting up, and then how she has gone to defy another day, that until she catches the rhythm, and then she's a teacher, or she was a teacher in real life, and so she's looking at the school, that what she's doing there. She's treating the young people, and some are rebellious, and others are you know sort of sweet,
Yeah.
and others
Yeah,
cry out in protest, and all these things. You can really
probably in the
hear
classroom, yeah.
that and feel that, and that she says at times she envies them for the power that they have, and you know and it's really, really very beautiful. And
This bit, 60 psychedelics of patterning things there. That's just tucked off at the side, but sometimes I found that I was moving the camera and it looked one way once, then I looked back, it looked different again. So, but as you can see, you've got these layers of art.
I want to read to you another hour that she writes that touched me
Yeah,
very much.
yeah.
Also, that is the sixth hour, Ora
Right.
Sexta. To be amazed at offering yourself to the days as if it were the first, to marvel at not questioning if perhaps it is the last. One more day to teach with soul and body, to learn, to grasp, to fail to understand, to struggle against intolerance, to witness hatred and love, to see the indifferent, the engaged, the privileged, and the wounded, the victims, the bullies, the silent, the rules, the punishments, the rebellious of youth, to count what you have given and taken and still question it. I think that is so it's so beautiful.
Yeah, very much so powerful. I actually think some of these images you're looking at there have a symbolism, have quite a connection to it. I might be wrong, but you were reading it and I was looking at the layers of the art there. There we are.
And then at the 8th hour, she's coming home through the clogged traffic jams of the city. And then she's cooking. She goes through the whole day what she's doing, and then she's amazed at the quietness after the dinner, and
After the storm.
she's taking a rest and sleeping a bit. And then she goes back, I suppose, with her family and talking, discussing, listening, answering, chiding, correcting, laughing, sighing, slamming doors, taking notes, healing, erring, knowing, encouraging, failing, trying again, and wondering if it all matters. So I think it's really wonderful.
That bit through there, then it was deliberate. It came in as a layer, but actually, when I zoomed out, it looked like it might be a different exhibit. Because after all, this is on the roof of the museum. I just.
That's from another event.
It is, isn't it? Yeah, I thought it probably was, but it's also got this complex sky, the roof, I should say. It's a bit like, it's odd. Think of like classical buildings like that had domed roofs, and then famous painters painted on those roofs. Obviously, they weren't 3D, but it meant that people in, I don't know, the churches or concert halls, they looked up, and they saw the art on the dome while they were in the audience. So it wouldn't necessarily be, well, maybe looking at the stage as well. I don't know, but the idea that you look up to fully appreciate the creative space. So, it wouldn't always occur to you, I mean, if you walk into a grand old, I don't know, cathedral or something, you'd probably think, oh, I better look up. There's bound to be something up there. But if you're in a normal circumstance or something, we don't think to look up as a rule, do we? We sort of take it for granted that there's always a sky up there, but we don't make buildings these days that have spectacular roofs. So, just a comment. Okay, I seem to have found my way back to the proper thing again now. Okay, so let's move ahead a bit. One thing I did find filming was I thought it does change all the while, but oh yeah, they had a few. This was an odd painting. There was nothing special about this in terms of activity about. It may be that some of these things that are inside on the walls are actually there permanently, weren't actually related to this performance, but it looked good, so I filmed it. Right.
Well, now before you come to an end with all that, I will read you the last.
Yeah.
The last hour of the day. Okay.
Yeah, very good. We've got plenty of time here, plenty of films.
Ora quarta decima. To be amazed at the storm before the quiet of the night, to marvel at surrendering in the dark cradle of sleep, to be amazed still at the end, at the day fading into the abyss of night, to vanish within the 14th hour, still counting what was left unsaid, undone, and to die, or to be reborn. Oh, so that I think is very beautiful.
Yeah. Oops. I think racing through this now to see if there's anything we missed, but I mean, you can probably realise that if you were sitting there, it was changing all the while, but not definitely a horror 10 now, you see.
I have a question for you, Tosha, and Mel also. when you look at artwork that's designed in Open Simulator and Second Life, do you suspect that artists think of their viewers inside their avatars looking around or camming around? And do you think that has an influence on the design?
Ooh,
Good question.
that is a good question.
I would.
Yes,
I think if they are mixing with people that are very familiar with the environment and how to cam, then probably they're taking into account the viewer will cam around while they're sitting in their seat or whatever. I suspect that is the case. I mean, I can imagine cases where that isn't the case, but that would imply sort of people that haven't really learned the interface yet, and maybe I don't know. It's a good question. I mean,
well,
me, I
ac-
can't keep out of the camera mode, but
Right.
well, actually, I am more the one that I cam around when I watch an artwork or something like this. I cam around as much as I would with my eyes. I mean, when you're sitting there, actually, you also look around. You don't only stare at one spot. But
yeah,
more than that, I don't do. Like the things that you show here in your little film, I haven't seen actually when I was there at all.
interesting. I mean, to be honest, I mean, if we were playing the whole sequence of rough film I had at the beginning, I was there filming away, and it took me a while to realise that the ceiling had a hell of a lot more going on, and
Mm.
indeed some walls had multiple layers to them. So when I saw that, I thought, right, getting in there, with the camera. But you're right. I mean, I come around a lot, but it's like real life, isn't it? You sort of look to your left, oh, hello, look to the right,
Mm.
and
Mm.
look forward to the stage again, and maybe even zoom in and out a bit. But
Mm.
standing around to the ceiling is not exactly the everyday thing. So
And
um,
therefore, to answer your question, James, I think when I do something, some building or some work, some whatever, I'm not an artist, but if I do anything close to it, I do it not so much with the idea of people camming around and being really far away. I do that with the idea of the people looking at what I'm doing and showing at the moment. So more like the classical vision that you have in a museum or in a theater.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep. That's it.
yeah, and
Interesting.
looking at the bits at the back there. I mean, the other thing is, when you see paintings, you tend to stand in front of them and admire them. But also, in 3D, you've got sculpture, and you move around the sculpture to examine it. You don't pan away from it, So it's a
Mm,
different experience, really. You've got to know what's
mm,
happening. I mean, I think we've all been to concerts, by virtual Pink Floyds and things like that, not the real ones, of course. For the particles and stuff to make trying to simulate the effect of a real world concert for whatever reason.
Well, and
Um,
that is exactly why so many or too many particles really annoy me because that
yeah,
it takes away from my concentration
yeah.
and it takes away from the view also. Well, some particles are all right, and these are just the limit. I mean, more
I
would
got I
be horrible.
Yeah, to be honest, I was getting pretty bored with them by the end here. I was determined to keep filming, so I had a 60-minute film mod. But yeah, once I moved up and saw through them and looked at the layers of different bits of things, I mean, if I could easily edit the interesting things about this down from an hour, 5 minutes down to about 10 minutes most, to convey it all. But I think it depends what it is. I like the use of particles, but not for the sake of it. They need to have meaning. I mean, if somebody's waving a wand on stage, it's nice to get sort of sparkles or something coming out of it,
Mm.
but particles coming up there, because it connects with the wand the actor or dancer on stage is doing. Or if it's one of these mime bands in Second Life or something, then you know, exploding particles at a given point in a song, which probably has the equivalent in, with the light show in the real world. That's fine too. But here I found that the particles there, I mean, they look like they're done with a 3D canvas, a pen in a 3D space, and they're sort of clunky, and some of them are subtle and small, some of them are big, some of these ones that intrude at the top left and right, really, they were annoying me a bit, I've got to admit, after a while. But, persevered. It was worth getting the film of the whole thing. So,
It's an
but you, James,
interesting it's an interesting question, and there was for a while QuickTime VR and then other formats, 360
oh
videos,
yeah,
and it was almost to the point they didn't become popular, and I think it gave the viewer too much freedom. You just did not
yeah,
know where to look. It was very difficult to tell a narrative in a 360
Mm,
video because you might be
mm,
looking the wrong way when some action happens behind you. And
yeah,
so, I think our tradition so far is, the director grabs your eyes and points your brain where you need to look. And so
yeah.
these artworks are a little more freedom, but not too much freedom.
mm.
Good point. Yeah,
Well, with this here, I really appreciate Velasquez particles very much, but like I said, some of them were too dense for me, and I had the feeling that he wanted to. Mm, he almost, to me, it almost felt as if Velasquez said, "Well, just looking at the sign and hearing the music and reading the poem is boring." I did not think so, not at all. But I had the feeling that um, Velasquez had the feeling.
it's yeah. I mean, it's there's an art to this sort of stuff, and it can be overkill. I
Yeah.
mean, it is too dominant. I mean, my camera angle there is at the air a bit. If I was actually looking in front of the stage, oh, of course it's over by now, but sort of there'd just be the movement at the top. But yeah, I felt like they intruded, and I think something he's done there. I can't remember his other stuff very clearly, but it would be much more effective if he had these thick brushstroke things a
Mm,
few minutes, and then they fade away, and then he has some of that sort of much more subtle line kind of shapes and stuff, rather
mm,
than all onto the screen at once or into the venue at once. It's like, oh, I'll just turn that one on, now that one, now that one, now that one, I'll
mm,
take that away
mm,
for 2 seconds, then I'll put it back, and um, just throwing every trick in the book at you in one go, and then realizing you've just got to keep going.
mm.
There's once you've seen those particles for 5 minutes or something, there's no more surprises left.
What I thought was what we unfortunately won't see at the HIE anymore, um, was the use that Sunshine made of particles. That
Yeah,
was one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in open sim with particles. It was just so meaningful. It just these things here, I think they have nothing to do with the poem in
yeah.
itself, and much less to do with this picture here with the hours on it. Um, but the ones that Sunshine made, they were really like an integer part of the of
Of
her
the show. Yeah.
performance.
No,
So
I would agree. I mean, it's sort of well, obviously there'll be film of the performances we do have coming up, and we've got previous years too. So HIA has always had quite a few examples of particle art,
yeah,
along with music and everything else like that. But you're right. You're right. I mean, some people just did it well, and some of it's recorded and it can be watched again. Others can't, of course. But it's yeah. I mean, it's interesting to look at. I mean, I was quite, it was nice a little evening out, shall we say, after our heavy meetings for
Yeah.
HIE, and make a change. But it's certainly not. But the poem is amazing. But
Yeah.
performance here is certainly, it's interesting enough to show, bits of it as we've been doing. But it's not going to be totally embedded in memory. I mean, if there was some very interesting sound and the poem had been read, it might be a very different thing.
Yes,
But
yes. I thought it was a shame that the poem was not read.
yeah,
That was really a shame. Even though it was in Italian, it would not have made any difference from the knowledge about the poem, but
yeah,
you
Yeah.
would hear the voice, you would hear the rhythm of the poem, and then if you wanted, you could read at the same time the translation. That I would have
yeah. Well,
thought.
and if it was filmed, wait a day and you've got Google Translate will give you
Yeah,
what might not be any good, but they'll translate the Italian version themselves,
yeah.
to give you the flavor of it. Yeah, I think it was nice to be there. I think the Chinese. No, sorry, the oh God,
Have you guys
the Dinkies. I think the Dinkies made my day. We won't say anything more than
have you
that.
guys ever been at one of um the what do you call it? The music when ooh, oh, I forgot the name. Oh, please not. The one that died the year before last. We have a we had a booth last
In
year.
world, in world. Yeah, I know you mean. I've got the film. I still haven't shown that actually. Okay, it wouldn't be fit on this show because it's a sound and vision performance. Although there'd be no copyright problems. So,
He
mm.
Oh,
he made
Lepiskian.
Torben Asp.
Oh,
oh yeah,
Torben.
Torben
Okay.
Asp.
Okay.
Torben Asp. Have you seen a concert of his?
Oh yeah, that's the film.
Uh,
I've recorded a whole. Well, no, that's
oh,
the
okay.
thing. You see, he'd already passed. There was a
Okay.
tribute concert, but they played
Oh yeah,
his
you were there. I
played his
didn't go there.
yeah. They actually played a recording of his performance.
And what I thought in the beginning, I saw him from practically from the beginning when he started acting in Open Sim regularly, and
Yeah,
he was he he did a great use of particles from the beginning on, I think. But in the end, he got a lot better. His particles were picking up the rhythm of the music. That was
right.
something really incredible. You could see that the particles were sort of dancing with the music, and that was fantastic. That was a fantastic use. Well, and the other, like I said, was the last week the use Sunshine made of her particles. I thought that was also very, very nice. They were so sort of in the background, but at the same time you could see their importance. And I thought that was really well done. And for that alone, I think it's a shame that we won't be able to see her next week.
Yep.
Yeah,
But, you know,
I don't know. Um, hmm, she might
that's
revive it
the
somewhere.
way it goes.
Yep.
Yeah. If you're wondering what I'm doing here so quietly, I'm actually trying to find the Torben Asp, but I mean, my long form pending. That sounds like it. I've got so much, unfortunately, it's rather less. Oh, actually, those are not even. I'll give it a couple of seconds, and if it doesn't show up, then we'll have to leave it. Log news, right, OS. Whoa, show archives, my God. Specials are. Talk about a lot of clips. Okay, we don't want to be doing this when we're live on air. I will try and I'll locate to put in our current folder the
Yeah.
Torben Aspect. So when we're back in a couple of weeks, we'll get around to looking at that. I
Oh, yeah, that would be great.
won't play the whole concert, so although I might upload that sometime.
No, but
You know,
a
some,
little piece of it, that would be great. Yeah.
the other thing is the film does include about 30 minutes or so before the concert, which is a look at the memorial and stuff
Mm.
like that. So
Mm.
it's like a place to visit. So I'll dig it up. I know I've got it somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
um, yeah, I basically my filing system is pretty awful, and it's I've got different folders for different things in different places. Well, the usual stuff,
Yeah.
Weekly live, it could still be here for all I know. Yeah.
The
But,
wonder of the inventory. You dive in and you might not appear again for weeks.
well, there must be quite literally hundreds and hundreds here. But and of course, every safari we've ever been on, and some of them are doubled as well, which doesn't help because they get copied over to the folder where we did the show from, and they stay there. Oh, hang on. It looked like it was more craft Garcia show. So many, so many, so many. Tosha! Oh, folder called Tosha here. It was, oh, remember that? That's you dancing at one of our things, big stage.
Mm.
Right, sorry, I'm
Right.
not going to keep looking because we're getting absolutely nowhere. But I will dig them up for a future show. Now, just to remind you folks, we're not actually going to be here next week, but for a bona fide reason, because guess what? There it is again. We're going to be at the Hypergrid International Expo. So we told you all about that earlier. For any of you, well, we're going to put the location on screen, I think. I'm sure James has got a lower third there.
What
If any of
location?
you, if any of you are actually watching this show, and you're in Second Life or somewhere else, and not in on the Hypergrid or anything, then you can get an account with quite a lot of open sim places, and once you've got an account and a home grid, you can just use the Hypergrid to teleport to the address where it's being held. An example of this, I don't know, I hope they do it actually, is we were talking at the Non-Profit Commons in Second Life on Friday, but a number of the people there actually know of OSCC, the Open Sim Community Conference, but they don't know much else about OpenSim. So I said, well, you can log in with your avatar for that conference and then teleport to this one. And they did actually offer to put a teleport sign on the OSCC landing area, which will redirect you to the HIE landing area. So I hope they remember to do that. I will remind them.
You want the grid address on the lower third, Mel?
Yeah, put up the HIE grid address, I
There
think.
it is.
Yeah. Just as a closing thing. And just put some nice music on to go with I didn't realize the sound was on there. So go with the lower third there. So you've got a nice entrancing bit of video to tell you where to go. So we won't be here next week, but we will be back the next. With a bit of luck, I'll dig up some Torben Ass for us. It's about time I did something with that film when I find it. And then we're heading into the summer. I hope all of you survive. What is it? Wednesday, April Fool's Day?
Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah. I hope you survive Tuesday. We're doing one of our dress rehearsals on Tuesday, so maybe that was a bad move. I don't know. But we will see. We will see. So it's going to be a pretty busy week ahead for us, and and next weekend. So we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. Any last thoughts from? Oh, my bonus has gone to sleep. Any last thoughts from James Auto? Well, start with James. Anything else worthy of mention at the moment?
No, just I have an interesting phenomenon where I get tired before an event comes up, and so the all the things that
And
are
then
going
you
to
wait.
happen next weekend, I'm already feeling tired before we get there.
Yeah, I get that too.
Yeah,
Come
yeah.
on.
And then the moment it starts happening, something invisible wakes you up,
Something
and
kicks in. That's
you
right.
get into the exciting, the adrenaline kind of thing kicks
Yep.
in. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. And Tasha, anything else to
Oh,
close
just
with?
that I'm really looking forward to the next weekend, to the expo, and because it promises to be really interesting and
Uh,
very diverse with tech talk, with just talk about the open sim. There are a couple of things like that, and mysterious things, and also a lot of fun. And I think
I
that's
agree with the
and
fun. Once it's
beautiful
going,
art.
it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and beautiful art also, so I'm really looking forward to it very much.
all right. Now I was going to go out. You won't believe this. I was going to go out with something, which we actually had last year with the. All right. No visuals with this. It is. Oh, hang on. Where would it be? Quick folder. Maybe that's where it is. Uh, ding, ding, ding. We had a piece of music last year where I think James actually was part of this, where we got a load of people in voice sort of saying, "Have a great internet," and mixed it with some music, and it was sort of I think it was a video with it, but basically it was just a sort of audio advert, to create the mood for it. And do you know what? I don't think I could find that either.
Oh, I've
It's
got it handy, Mel, if you really want it.
well, I thought it's. Oh, actually, I think I found it. Yeah,
Okay.
it's in the music for music for. No, that's yeah, 24 promo. Yeah. So I'm going to put the sound on, and we'll let this play while we do our finale. So, playing in the background, you're going to hear a few.
I hear a note here and there.
International X.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible, Mel. And he likes it. He likes that it's horrible.
Yeah, because you can hear it, but we
Right,
can't.
right. Uh,
It's better
Oh,
just
okay, and it's coming through my mind. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. It was just
better
the
just look at the black screen there.
right, right.
yeah. There's no visual with it at all. Although there may have been.
Yeah, but better look at
I
the
don't know.
black screen without sound then.
Yeah, I was going through the files and thought that's a little memory of last year, but it's a nice idea anyway. So yeah, I will completely stop that, and we will say goodbye for now. Okay, that's it for this week, folks. No next week, but we'll be here again the week after with all the regular sort of fun and games. So I'd like to thank my right hand man, James Atlloud. Thank you, James.
Oh, sure, Mel. It's always interesting and fun. Thanks for bringing us here
And
together.
absolutely, always a good chance for extended gossip too, I think. And thanks, of course, to my co-host Tosha Tyran. Thank you, Tosha.
Well, like James said, it's been fun, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all next weekend again.
Yep.
At the HIE. Yes.
Exactly.
2 weeks thereafter here again. Okay, so just going to wish you all a very good morning, very good afternoon, very good evening, and indeed a good tomorrow, depending on wherever and whenever you are. When it comes to the whenever, do just remember that you've gone forward an hour. The
Yeah.
magic of time travel, eh? Okay, we're out of here.